What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the adapter pattern. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So this pattern should be really easy to understand because we all use adapters in our daily lives. So especially if you're an Apple user, you probably have like 10 different adapters in your handbag or in your backpack stashed. All right, you have USB-C to get the headphone jack. You have USB-C for a USB adapter. You have what's another one? You probably have Lightning to a headphone jack. I mean, Apple has a lot of them, all right? But that's the point. You're trying to get two objects, or in a software term, you want to get two objects that are incompatible, and you want to build a bridge between those so they could talk to each other, which is an adapter. So let's take this code that I have right here as an example. So one problem that you might have is you might already have some code that is designed to work in a particular environment or with a particular tool, but you want the exact same code to work in a different environment or with another object to accomplish the same task. Maybe you have some code, JavaScript code, written by web developer that is designed to run in a browser, but you want the exact same code to run in a Node.js environment. So in this file right here, here's an example of some JavaScript code that saves and reads data from local storage, a browser API that is not available in Node. If I go to the console right here and try to run it, Node dot, you're gonna see that there's an error. Local storage is not defined. That's because there is no local storage API within Node.js. So we're actually going to be building an adapter for this. So what we're going to do is require another file that is called local storage. So require local storage, just like that. And we're going to create a new file called local storage. All right, this is where we're going to be creating our adapter. Control save over there. So what we want to do with our local storage file is create the exact same interface that the browser API has for local storage. So we need to create a class that will provide the same interface that we have in the browser local storage API. Or we're not gonna go that complex, but at least the interface that this file uses. What I mean about interfaces is what kind of methods does this file use? So it has a length, it has get item, it has set item, and it has clear. So we're going to be creating a class that has all those methods, so that way they have an interface to work with. So class is going to be called local storage, and let's make sure to export this. Mod duo.export equals local storage. Oh, we're going to create a new instance of local storage. Sorry about that. New local storage. Control save. But before we actually work on the class itself, well, actually we could actually get the methods. So let's get all the methods down. So we're going to have a get length method. We're going to have get item. We're going to have set item. And we're going to have clear. So we now have the same interface inside of our local storage local storage object. Now the reason it's an adapter is because we need, now I'm trying to say that the reason why we have this file, or this is an adapter, is because we need to adapt this interface to a local environment instead of saving the data within the local storage API of the browser. So we're actually going to be saving this data to a JSON document. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call in some methods from a module, the file system module, that will help us, do all these things: save, read, delete, all these things. So up above class, we're gonna get the file system module. So var, and from this file system module, we're gonna get 4 methods. The first one is write, sync. Second one is exist, sync. Oh my goodness. The third one is read file, sync, and the last one is unlink. So these are the methods that are gonna help us be, and I'm doing air quotes, be like the browser local storage API, and we're gonna just require it from the file system module. All right, awesome. So now we could build our adapter class or adapter interface. So the first thing I want to do is actually, since we're going to be adding these items to the JSON document, it sounds like I'm cutting on and off. I'm not. I'm just thinking of what I'm going to say. So since we're going to be adding these items to the JSON document, we're going to be checking first of all if this document exists or not, and we're going to be doing that inside of the constructor. Since we could do it synchronously within the constructor, because our local storage object is only going to be instantiated once when our application loads. So within the constructor, let's go ahead and build that. So right here, if exists sync, we want to pass in the file name that we want to know if it exists, .json. We haven't created this file yet, but we are when we set the item. Right now, we're just checking if it exists. So if it does exist, then we want to, I'm just log out. No, not log. Loading items from local storage .json. Just letting the user know. And then we're gonna var text read file sync, passing in the local storage.json, and then we're going to this .items. It's going to equal JSON dot parse text. All right. So this is going to happen if we have a file called JSON local storage JSON. We want to just read it and then just pass it into this .items, which is going to be an object. Okay, obviously because we're parsing text. Now, if it doesn't exist, we're gonna just make this .items equal an empty object. Next, we're going to be doing the length. So right here, it's pretty simple. We're going to just return objects .keys of this .items. Now, objects.keys is going to return an array of keys that items has. So whatever this object has for keys is going to return an array of however many keys, and we just want the length of that. So I'm gonna just tack on length behind that, and we're gonna just get the number of length. Now we got the length. So for our get item, this one's actually pretty simple too, since item is going to have a argument and it's going to be a key. Because over here, when we get an item, we enter in a key. So it's going to be simple. Return this .items, and we're going to just pass in the key that they want. Whatever they want, we're going to pass it in, and it's going to give them the value for that key. Now for set item, it's going to be a little bit more tricky. So the set item is going to have a key and a value. So key, value, and I will show you. So set item over here, we have a key and the value for that key. So right here, token and the token number or hash, and then the user ID and then the user ID. So right here, we're going to be setting this key and value to the object up above. So this dot items of this key is going to equal value. And then we're going to just write this. This is where we're going to write it to local storage, JSON, the file for that. So write sync or write file. What do I have above? I have write sync. It should be write file. Sorry about that. Write file. So write file, and then we're gonna pass in 2 arguments, or actually 3. So the first one is where do you want to write this file? So it's going to be local storage.json. This is what file we want to write it to. And if we don't have this file, don't worry about it. It'll create one on its own. And then we're gonna give it the data of json.stringify, because we want to stringify this file before we actually send it in. This dot items. And then if there's an error, we're gonna handle that error. So if error, console.error. I really hate it when it does that. So I'm just do error. And we're gonna just give it error. No, I want to give it the value error. Okay. So that is it for this one. Now let's go on for clear. Don't worry, I will explain what I'm doing, even though it's not the whole point, but I will explain what I did on this class. Clear this dot items. We're going to just be setting items to an empty object, and we're going to unlink. Unlink destroys the file, so unlink or deletes the file, anyways. And we want to delete the file local storage.json, and get the callback. Once it's done, we're going to just log out local storage file removed. All right, so let me explain what's going on here. So before we get into the constructor, I guess I could get in. In the constructor, we're going to be checking if there's a file local storage.json. And if there is one, then we're going to just read from that whatever data it has inside of it. We're going to just grab it and just inject it into this .items object. If it doesn't have a file, then we're going to just create a empty object. That's pretty much simple. So get length. We're literally going to get the length of the this.items object. So the way I did that is object.keys gives an array of keys of the object. And we're going to just, since it returns an array, we're just tack on .length, so that way we get the length of the array. Pretty simple. Get item. This just returns an items. Whatever key is passed into items, we're going to just get the value for that key. Set item is we're going to set the key and value pair to the object. We're just setting it right here. We're giving it that object, and we're going to just write it out to local storage.json. And that's about it right there. And for clear, we're going to just literally delete it by using unlink. So we have created an adapter for local storage. Now let's see if it actually works. I did all this work and it better work. So CLS up to return objects.keys .length objects is not It's because it's not objects, it's object. Object. All right, let's try it one more time. CLS. Oh man, keys. It's not. It's lowercase k. Sorry guys. We're gonna get a lot of errors, I'm pretty sure. No. All right. Oh. I know what. Items. It's misspelled up here. Oh man, there's a lot of mistakes that I'm doing. So sorry guys. I guess I wrote it too fast. And you see right here, Jesus. It's saying that set item is not a function. That's because right here. Guys, I'm so sorry. Let me do it one more time. All right, we're gonna keep on getting errors. All right, stringify is spelled wrong. Stringify. Control save. All right, let's just keep on getting errors, guys. This is web development right here. All right, now we have it. Thank God. All right. All right, so index.js, let me go over this, what's going on. All right, we're gonna catalog index. Obviously, we don't have anything since we're barely starting off. So the UID, obviously, it's not gonna have a UID, so it's going to be undefined. And we're also going to catalog the, right here, the ID, yeah, undefined. So user ID not defined, right here. And then it's going to be creating something. So if we run it again one more time, we should get this else statement. So right here, if the UID is not fine, it's going to do this, which it did. It cataloged, there's no ID, and we're going to just add some items to our local storage. And then once we run it, it should go into the else block. So, yep, there it is. So now, since it wrote out local storage twice, we get length is 2 times. Yes, user ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's found. And now we're clearing the user ID, and now we just removed it. So if we actually run it one more time, I'll show you. It creates one with our data in it. And then we run it one more time. It's going to clear it, which is going to destroy it right here. Oops, not that. Over here, it's going to destroy it. It's going to go away. Yep, and it goes away. Whew. All right. So this is how an adapter can be useful to adapt an object to a different environment or another object. So let's go into the pros and cons and where will we use this. So for the pros and cons. The pros are helps achieve reusability and flexibility. You can separate the interface or data conversion code from the primary business logic of the program. You can introduce new types of adapters into the program without breaking the existing client code, as long as they work with the adapters through the client interface. The cons: the overall complexity of the code increases because you need to introduce a set of new interfaces and classes. Sometimes it really is simpler just to change the service class so that it matches the rest of your code. And sometimes many adaptations are required along an adapter chain to reach the type which is required. So basically, there might be a time where you actually have to create an adapter for an adapter to make it work with the client code. Yeah, I know it's kind of something to wrap your head around, but yeah, I have done that before, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Let's go on to the wins. So when you should use this: use the adapter class when you want to use some existing code or existing class, some existing class, but its interface isn't compatible with the rest of your code. Now, the adapter pattern lets you create a middle layer class that serves as a translator between your code and a legacy class, a third-party class, or any other class with a weird interface. That's when you would want to. The second one is use a pattern when you want to reuse several existing classes that lack same common functionality that can't be added to the superclass. Now, you could extend each subclass and put the missing functionality into child classes. However, you need to duplicate the code across all of the new. You need to duplicate the code across all of the new classes, which is pretty bad. So guys, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, thanks for taking some time out of your day to actually watch the videos. I hope you learned something out of this, and if you did, leave a like. If you didn't, dislike it. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I try to do good content for you guys, and please leave a comment down below on where would you use the adapter pattern. So thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video.